Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos. And obviously Manchester United go up against Chelsea on Monday, and I do feel as though if Manchester United fail to beat Chelsea on Monday, top 4 is over for Manchester United. Because of course if we don't beat Chelsea and Chelsea win, Chelsea do go 9 points clear. As it stands at the moment, we are 6 points behind Chelsea, and we are currently sitting 8th in the Premier League. But on the other hand, if we do beat Chelsea, we are still in that top 4 race, because, we'll be only 3 points behind them. But, to be fair, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in as Manchester United manager, we've had a really, really good record against Chelsea. I think we're actually unbeaten against Chelsea since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in. We are looking to beat Chelsea for the 3rd time this season. We've already beaten them twice this season. We're beating them 2-1 in the Carabao Cup early on in the season at Stamford Bridge. We beat them on the opening day of this season by 4-0 at Old Trafford. And, we beat them in the FA Cup last season at Stamford Bridge by 2-0 and that. So, and obviously, this is going to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Frank Lampard's 3rd meeting as managers, because obviously, Solskjaer has already overcome Frank Lampard twice. But it will be a very, very interesting game, and it will be interesting to see how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer approaches the game. But, the only main explanation why we're in that top 4 anywhere is because, Chelsea have been so inconsistent this season. Obviously, that's the only reason we're in that current top 4 race. And, we've had so many opportunities this season to close the gap on that top 4. So realistically, now Manchester United should be in that top 4, because the top 4 is one of our ambitions this season. We need to get into that top 4, so obviously, we can get Champions League football. Obviously, we've already given the verdict on the sacking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we have made it clear that if we don't qualify for Europe, and if we finish out of the top 6, then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be sacked as Manchester United manager. Also now, he's been warned that Anthony Martial could also get him the sack. But I don't see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being at Manchester United much longer. I think he probably, will last until the end of the season. Then we will get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer then, because it'd be a bit pointless, getting rid of him now. But like I mentioned, it's very imminent that Mauricio Pochettino is going to be our next manager in that, because like he updated you this morning, he's, interested in taking over at Manchester United is Pochettino. On the other hand, though, probably Frank Lampard isn't the right manager for Chelsea. I do believe Chelsea are going to be determined to give Frank Lampard time, because it's only his first season as Chelsea manager. And, he's inexperienced as a manager, is Lampard, just like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is. Obviously, taking into account Frank Lampard only began his managerial career, with Derby last season. He did actually, progress Derby to the playoff final, did Frank Lampard and that. But Chelsea have enjoyed a really bad season, to be fair. Obviously, they didn't make any signings in the January transfer window, so they would have been disappointed in that aspect. At one point they did have a transfer ban, but Chelsea, did get their transfer ban, sorted out and that. So obviously now they haven't got a current transfer ban. Also, Chelsea have had quite a few injuries. I think, they've had like Olivier Giroud injured. They've had Ruben Loftus-Cheek out. Christian Pulisic is out. From a Chelsea perspective, hopefully will be back on Monday. Also, I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek has been out, like I mentioned. Xabi Costa, Marco van Dingle. I think Tammy Abraham's just recently come back from injury for them. So Chelsea have had quite a few injuries. But like I mentioned, I thought Frank Lampard was a really, really good player for Chelsea. He enjoyed 13 years as a player. He's all-time leading goal scorer with 211 goals. Obviously, I've got the same perception on Solskjaer, because he was also a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. But, my own perception is that, Solskjaer's not good enough as a manager, too inexperienced. Frank Lampard not good enough as a manager. He's also too inexperienced in that. But, analysing it, I think in last, 6 or 7 years, I think actually, Chelsea have had more managers than Manchester United. Because, we've obviously, sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, now Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager. But obviously, we sacked David Moyes after, 9 or 10 months. We sacked Louis van Gaal, just after a year. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. Jose Mourinho endured the longest tenure with Manchester United, since the Alex Ferguson era and that. But, with Chelsea, obviously, they sacked Maurizio Sarri last season. Maurizio Sarri only endured one season with Chelsea. He did progress Chelsea to the League Cup final. He also did win the Europa League with Chelsea, so in that aspect, he did get automatic qualification for the Champions League. But, obviously, Chelsea did still end up getting rid of him. Then, obviously, they got Antonio Conte. Well, they had Antonio Conte. He got sacked, despite the fact he won the Premier League, was it, in his first season with Chelsea. Jose Mourinho, he had 2 separate spells with Chelsea. He won around 3 Premier Leagues with Chelsea, but Jose Mourinho did get sacked as Chelsea manager. Something to do with the club doctors. That was the main explanation. Also, they had Villas-Boas. I think Chelsea, won the Champions League under Villas-Boas' guidance. They had Scudetto, they had Avram Grant, they had Carlo Ancelotti. So they're all the managers, that Chelsea have sacked in a short period of time. And, Chelsea probably haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers. Obviously, they've got Abramovich there, who, of course, is a billionaire and that. But, so Chelsea have had a lot of managers, over the years. But, Chelsea are aware, that furthermore investment is needed in their squad. Probably perhaps they may consider, getting rid of more players in the summer. Of course, they did lose one of their best players last summer in Eden Hazard. Of course, Eden Hazard endured 7 years with Chelsea. I can't estimate how much Chelsea have got. I think they'll have quite a bit of money. Obviously, they generated a substantial amount following Eden Hazard's departure, but they didn't really want to see Eden Hazard go, obviously, because he was one of their best players. Christian Pulisic, I haven't really seen him play for Chelsea. Like I mentioned, he's currently injured at the moment. They did get him from Borussia Dortmund last summer. Well, they got him before last summer, but obviously, they'd loaned him back to Borussia Dortmund for that current season. But, they have got some good players in the team of Chelsea. I do rate N'Golo Kante a lot. Very, very good player. Obviously, progressing up the ranks with France, and, now he's taking his footballing career. He took his footballing career to the next level, when he went to Leicester, then when he, obviously, went to Chelsea. He obviously won the Premier League with Leicester. He obviously, as well, has won the Premier League with Chelsea. I think Chelsea paid a good 32, was it just £32 million for him? Ross Barkley, I think they got him from Everton. I haven't really seen Ross Barkley play that much. Obviously, I think they've got a few good youngsters in the squad of Chelsea. Reece James, he's one. Tammy Abraham. I do rate Willian a lot. He's not a youngster, but I do rate him a lot. Pedro isn't so bad. They've got Rudiger in there. They've got Azpilicueta, Marco Alonso. He was also injured earlier on in the season. So Chelsea have got quite a few good players in their current team. But I just feel as though, my own perception, Frank Lampard is not the right man. And if we are to beat them, or if Chelsea are not to get in the top 4 this season, then Frank Lampard has got a huge predicament ahead of him. So take that into account and that. But, revert back to what I said, it would be interesting to see how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer approaches this game and that. Of course, Odion Ighalo will be making his debut for the football club, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has already confirmed. As Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has already confirmed, despite the fact he isn't in Marbella, Spain, with the vast majority of the squad, because he's not there because of the fears of the coronavirus. That's obviously been going round, but he will be making his debut. I do presume that we should be putting Odion Ighalo in that number 9, because I think he's an out-and-out number 9 anywhere. So I think we should put him in Anthony Martial's role, because I think Martial needs to be dropped completely, or he needs to be reverted back to the left-hand side, because that left-hand side is Anthony Martial's predominant position anywhere. Because analysing the vast majority of his career, he's been playing on that left. It's only been this season Martial's been playing in that number 9 role, and Martial is becoming a liability now at Manchester United, reflecting on his poor run of performances. Obviously, he has received a lot of criticism, but do you feel as though, that the criticism is over the top? But if Martial does continue with his bad run of performances, he's one of the players I would want to leave Manchester United in the summer and that. He's now into his 5th season at the club. He's made 202 appearances and scored 60 goals. We paid £36 million to him from Monaco. potentially rising up to £58 million based on goals and achievements and that. So he needs to improve on his game, does Anthony Martial. So yeah, we need to put Odion Ighalo in that number 9. I think, we did the right... It was good business by the football club getting him in on loan until the end of the season. Like I mentioned, good alternative to Martial. Good cover up for Marcus Rashford. And because obviously, we needed to get someone in, because obviously, Rashford's injured. He's got a back injury and he's going to be out for at least the next couple of months. And, Rashford has been one of our best players this season. So take that into account. And he's definitely, one of the players I would be determined to keep at Manchester United. But Odion Ighalo, I do believe will get his opportunities. He's a lifelong Manchester United fan. He's highly experienced. We're paying a third of his wages. So let's see, how Odion Ighalo gets on. I do presume Solskjaer will make some changes from the 0-0 draw against Wolves before, the winter break. And also, too, Scott McTominay, I think he could be back for the Chelsea game because don't forget Solskjaer provided us with an update regarding McTominay. And he said, McTominay is close, to returning. He is in Marbella, in Spain, is McTominay. He's been out for quite some time, and obviously he's been out with a knee injury, McTominay, but you've got to say he has been a big miss in that midfield. But, like I said, overall, anyway, when the likes of McTominay and Pogba are back in action, we'll look much better in that midfield, definitely, in that. Not too sure about Paul Pogba, if he's going to be available. I can't estimate an exact date when he's going to be back, but I think it did say sometime this month Paul Pogba's going to be back. He's obviously not part of the training camp in Spain because obviously he's been continuing his rehabilitation from his ankle injury because Paul Pogba's been out for quite some time with this ankle injury and Paul Pogba has sustained quite a few injuries this season. So this is why his appearances have been limited. Pogba's only played 8 games this season for Manchester United, because he's currently out now with an ankle injury. He had an injury before, but this injury is totally comparison. And I think recently he's had his ankle caster removed as Pogba. Obviously, Man United are getting rid of Pogba in the summer because Paul Pogba has already revealed that, he does want to leave Manchester United in the summer because he's told our teammates that he wants to leave. Reportedly, we've slashed around £30 million off his valuation. So reportedly in the summer, we want around £150 million for Paul Pogba. Want around £150 million for him. But last summer we wanted around £180 million, but Real Madrid were not willing to pay the £180 million that Manchester United were demanding in that. So this is why his move to Real Madrid didn't materialise. There's been a lot of speculation about him possibly making a return back to Turin because Paul Pogba did endure 4 good years in Turin. But since he rejoined Man United back in 2016, the vast majority of his performances have been totally comparison. So take that into account. And, we paid £89 million for him. Our most expensive signing. He's got I think now he's got 13-14 months left on his contract, or is he now heading into the final year of his contract? And we have got an option to extend his contract by a further year and that. But, people have different perceptions on Paul Pogba. Some United fans would want to see him go. Some United fans, would want to keep him and that. Because, they'd make a good partnership, wouldn't they? Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. But, look at it on the other hand, we'll generate a substantial amount for his departure. We'll get a good £150 million for him in the summer. Paul Pogba. And we can afford to lose Paul Pogba if we can get Jack Grealish on the board. And also, too, if we can, get James Maddison and that. So we can obviously now afford to lose Paul Pogba. One of the mistakes we made was getting rid of Pogba when he was younger. We shouldn't have got rid of him when he was younger. The main explanation why we got rid of him when he was younger under Ferguson is because his appearances were limited. He only made a few appearances. Then obviously, we let him go on a free transfer to Juventus. This is what Manchester United did. But yeah, progressing up the ranks, in France with Lee Harvey and that. And, he's emulated himself up over the years. And he's still regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world, is Paul Pogba and that. But definitely Manchester United overpaid for him. So I think in the summer he'll go to Real Madrid. if he doesn't go to Real Madrid, he will make a return back to cheering Wool the player and that. I'm surprised Pogba didn't leave when we had Mourinho, because there was a lot of transfer speculation about him going then. Obviously, he enjoyed a really bad relationship with Mourinho, like I mentioned, but, you know, Pogba decided to stay, of course, when Jose Mourinho did get sacked and that. But I do believe he will be going in the summer, will Paul Pogba. Also, I expect around 4 or 5 players to go in the summer, because he's still deadwood at the club, and obviously we get rid of some more players in the summer, will generate more money, because obviously a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, and obviously some of the players that have left, you know, we have generated quite a bit of money. You know, we generated money from Lukaku's departure, obviously. We got a substantial amount for Lukaku. We got £70 million for him. Also, you know, our wage bill has been freed up, you know, because, you know, Lukaku was on a substantial amount at the club. Obviously, you know, Sanchez is on loan at Inter Milan, and he was on nearly £500,000 a week at Man United. But despite the fact that he's still on loan with Inter Milan, you know, we're still paying the vast majority of his wages. But we've already revealed that, you know, we want to sell Sanchez in the summer. I don't think he's going to be coming back to Man United in the summer after his loan spell with Inter Milan. You know, even though Solskjaer did say he would have been coming back to prove everybody wrong. So, yeah. And Bruno Fernandes, I do believe he'll be making his second appearance against Chelsea, second Premier League appearance. It's very imperative that we do keep Bruno Fernandes in that number 10 role, because, you know, like I mentioned on my recent videos, he could become a liability, could Bruno Fernandes, in a defensive midfield role. And don't forget, you know, Ryan Giggs came out with this the other week and that. So I think Bruno Fernandes will do well. Like I mentioned, did really, really well on his debut against Wolves, did Bruno Fernandes. You know, he had the most touches in the first half. He created the most chances, did Bruno Fernandes. I think he created the most chances. But I've got element of concerns about the usage of the player. You know, is Solskjaer going to keep him in that advanced role, or is he going to, you know, rotate him as a holding midfielder? And this is something, you know, Manchester United, you know, cannot currently do in that. Obviously, we know now Bay's back from injury. Obviously, you know, Fosu Mentu's now back. You know, Diego Dalot's just recently come back. So, analysing, you know, Man United have had a lot of injuries this season, but that's not excusable for how inconsistent Manchester United have been this season. But we've got to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. You know, we are winless in our last 3 Premier League games. We haven't even scored in our last 3 Premier League games. I don't even think, you know, we've won 3 games on the trot in the Premier League this season. So that just indicates, you know, how bad Manchester United have been. That just indicates you know, how bad Manchester United have been this season. That. And obviously, you know, we've enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. So what I mean is that, you know, we've never been as bad up until this point in the Premier League era. And as, you know, as what I know, you know, Solskjaer is our worst ever manager that we've had. As far as I know, anyway. You know, I am on, you know, the age of 23. So I haven't seen any improvements under Solskjaer, you know, whatsoever. I haven't seen any improvements than what I saw under Mourinho, Louis van Gaal and David Moyes, except that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. Because to be fair, when he was the interim manager, he did really, really well. The results were good, the performances were good, you know, he exceeded expectations and that. And obviously my perceptions were different then regarding Solskjaer. The one mistake Man United made, we made a lot of mistakes, but one of the mistakes we made was giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis. But the main explanation why we're giving the job on a permanent basis is reflecting on what he did, you know, whilst he was the interim manager at Manchester United and that. And now he's been here for quite long, you know, he's been here over a year. You know, he's now, been here 14 months, almost 14 months. He's, you know, been permanent boss for almost 11 months now. And he's got around, 2.5 years left on his deal. And I'm very, very sceptical, though, that he will see out the remainder of his 2.5-year deal and that. Because I'm very, very convinced he will not be Manchester United manager next season. Solskjaer, he won't be a Manchester United manager. I can definitely, assure that. And, you know, like I said before, you know, whether his managerial tenure at the club works out or not, you know, we'll never forget what he's done for the club. Because he was a great player, like I mentioned earlier on the video, for 11 years. He did well when he was the interim manager. And, you know, there's some aspects of me, you know, that do credit him. You know, he's in certain games this season, he's tactically got it right. But, you know, he's got a lot of trustworthy in his young players, you know, because there's a lot of young players at Manchester United that are developing and trying to improve. And, you know, I think the likes of Greenwood, Williams, Tuanzebe and all that are all going to become successes at Manchester United. I think we need to play Mason Greenwood more from the start in the Premier League. This is something Solskjaer needs to do. You know, Williams, of course, now is our first choice left back. He's a much better solution than Luke Shaw. You know, Tuanzebe, I think he's now close to returning from injury. He's also a part of the warm weather training camp in Spain. You know, Diego Dalot, don't really have a perception on him at the moment because, you know, I haven't really seen him play that much because, like I mentioned, he has had a few injuries this season. He is a backup option to Wan-Bissaka, is, you know, Diego Dalot and that. But, you know, like I said, I am only going to Solskjaer out. You know, obviously we're going to have to pay to get rid of him. I think we'd only have to pay around £5 million to get rid of Solskjaer. We are aware it's a transition period. Solskjaer said at the beginning of the year that he hopes Manchester United can get through this, you know, transition period and that. And this is, you know, what he was currently saying. But, you know, Solskjaer, since he's come in, you know, he's recommended 5 players in 3 transfer windows. He's recommended 5 players in. And that's, you know, James, Bissaka and Harry Maguire. That's who we brought in last summer. And we spent nearly 150 million on them. And obviously in January, he brought Bruno Fernandes in for £68 million. I think he's the club's 4th most expensive signing. And of course, we brought Odion Ighalo in. So Solskjaer has spent over 200 million at Manchester United, you know, since he got recommended in. Since he got recommended in and that. Since he got recommended in, you know, he spent over 200 million pounds on players. But, you know, we are already now making plans for the summer. Maybe Solskjaer won't be here in the summer transfer window, but if he is, it will be his 4th transfer window as Manchester United manager. Don't forget, you know, Ed Woodward has come out and defended the club's recruitment policy like he updated you on. So he's set to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with more transfers in the summer. This is what, you know, he's come out and said. And don't forget, you know, he wrote a fans forum. And that did Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward needs to go, you know, because obviously a lot of United fans are protesting Ed Woodward. They're not only protesting Ed Woodward, they're also protesting the Glazers. Because I don't like the way the football club's been run in the last 6 or 7 years anywhere. You know, Woodward's been our executive chairman since 2012. So he's been our chairman now for 8 years. And, you know, like I've mentioned, what has he done? Ed Woodward, you know, all he's done is invest a lot of money into the club, sacked 3 managers, and obviously, you know, he did say he wanted to recommend a director of footballing, but never did. That was a mistake, because we should have got a director of footballing, then he could have moved away from the footballing decisions, because he's not reliable to oversee our transfer business, is Ed Woodward. But this is what he's come out and said, so I do presume Man United are going to spend a substantial amount in the summer on bringing more players in. I can't estimate how much, you know, we're going to spend in the summer. I can't even estimate how much Man United have got at the moment. But I do believe, you know, we will spend big in the summer, definitely in that. Because furthermore investment is needed in the squad. There is still deficiencies in the squad that do need to be currently addressed in that. And I've already said to you, we need a holding midfielder. We possibly need a left back. Some people are saying we need a centre half. Possibly need a right winger, and Solskjaer says, you know, he wants to bring 2 strikers into the football club and that. But, you know, even though we've been inconsistent for so long, you know, I still believe we've got the resources and the backing of the club to get the right calibre players in. But on the other hand, if we don't get Champions League football, then it's going to be hard for us to attract players to the elite level, you know, so take that into account. I've been keeping up to date, haven't I, you know, with the transfer news and that. Obviously, you know, there's, you know, quite a lot of players on our agenda and that. Like I updated you this morning, it did say Man United are planning a double transfer swoop for James Maddison and Jack Grealish. If we are to get them in the summer, they will cost us in the excess of £160 million, and that will James Maddison and Jack Grealish. Now, I'll give you the news about Jack Grealish, haven't I? You know, I think his preference is to move to Man United. Obviously, he said the other day in the mainstream media that he'd agreed personal terms with the football club. And he was reportedly searching for a house in Manchester. Real Madrid, Barca and City have also expressed their interest, but if he is to leave Aston Villa, he wants to come to Manchester United. Now, you can say he's the adequate replacement for Pogba. Bruno Fernandes initially is, but, you can say Jack Grealish is if he obviously, comes in the summer and that. And him alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield, would be just fantastic, definitely. And Jack Grealish is a good player, 24 years of age, still very, very young. Very, very young, and up until this point, he's spent the entirety of his career with Aston Villa. I think he had a loan spell at one point, with Notts County. He cost us around 60 million, wouldn't he, Jack Grealish, despite the fact that he's got around a 45 million release clause in his Aston Villa contract. It obviously got revealed, his current release clause. He can play as an attacking mid, and he can also play as a winner. So if we got Jack Grealish and James Maddison in the summer, I would be very delighted. It'd be even more better if we could get Jadon Sancho on the board. But, yeah. And, James Maddison, now, initially our preference is James Maddison over Jack Grealish, but now we're trying to get them both. Obviously, as you all know, it did say recently, James Maddison is closing in on signing a new contract with Leicester and that. But I like James Maddison a lot. And since his arrival at Leicester from Norwich in the summer of 2018, he's been a revelation at Leicester. Last season created more chances than any other player in the Premier League. This season he's replicating what he did in his first season. And he's just a very, very good player. Maddison can provide goals from midfield. He can create chances, and he is a very, very good player. And he's only the age of 23. But he's still got 3 years left in his current deal at the moment with Leicester as James Maddison and that. But, they would dramatically improve our midfield without a shadow of a doubt. But 160 million's a lot. But obviously, we can, if we sell Pogba in the summer, we'll generate around 150 or 160 million pounds for him. So then we can use the money that we've got for Pogba and then put it on James Maddison and Jack Grealish. So that would be very good business, by the football club, definitely. Jadon Sancho, him alone, without James Maddison and Jack Grealish on the added into the equation, he's going to cost us, 100 million pounds at least, is Jadon Sancho. We're confident we can beat Chelsea to the signing of Jadon Sancho. We're confident we can beat them to him. Chelsea have expressed their interest. We're obviously, in for him. We've been long admirers of Jadon Sancho anywhere. But if we don't get in the top 4, then we may find it very difficult, to get Jadon Sancho on the board. But I like him a lot. And, Jadon Sancho's enjoyed a very difficult season with Dortmund this season, that is, because he has been dropped in quite a lot of games as Jadon Sancho. He's still under contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. I think he's made around 65 Bundesliga appearances and scored 25 goals. And, he's made, I think, around 84 or 85 appearances in all competitions. But he is only the age of 19. I think Liverpool have also expressed their interest in the player. Former Man City player, served a couple of years at Man City, but he never really got his opportunities at Man City, so this is the reason why, he left Man City to go to Borussia Dortmund. So he's going to cost us probably around 100, maybe even 120 million. So we're going to have to make Jadon Sancho our most expensive signing if we are to get him in on the current board and that. So they are our summer transfer targets. I've already given you the news, obviously, as well, regarding Koulibaly. Regarding Koulibaly and that, I've already given you the current news. So yeah, so they are some of our transfer targets. But yeah, so revert back to what I said about Pochettino. I think he's going to be Manchester United's next manager, which is obviously, very, very good news. Obviously, Pochettino's come out and he said, he would love a return to the Premier League. So he does want to remain in England. And obviously, more speculations being fueled because obviously, Pochettino was spotted at Griffin Park yesterday alongside Ed Woodward's new advisor, Neil Ashton. So that's obviously fueled more speculation. But Pochettino has revealed that he wants to come to Manchester United. You know, I know he hasn't won out in terms of silverware, but that's my only element of concern. He did actually say, you know, his Tottenham legacy, you know, he's obviously, you know, was more important than winning trophies. But he did really, really well at Tottenham. You know, Tottenham did make a mistake by getting rid of Pochettino because he enjoyed a good 5.5-year tenure with them. But there's been a few other clubs in for Pochettino. Atletico have been in for him. You know, Bayern Munich were in for him before. Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. But we should have recommended Mauricio Pochettino in 2018 after the sacking of Jose Mourinho. We should have got Pochettino in then. But we won't get him in until the end of the season anyway. So then we won't have to pay out if we wait until the end of the season, because if he gets a job before the end of this season, Tottenham are entitled to £10 million in compensation. So take that into the equation. But, you know, I think, you know, Pochettino will definitely, you know, be Manchester United's next manager in that, because he's a better manager than Solskjaer. He hasn't won out, like I mentioned, but he's well proven in the Premier League. So, yeah, there's been a lot of talks about it going on today, you know, saying that, you know, Pochettino will be our next manager and that. So, yeah, so Solskjaer gets sacked if we don't get Europe. Martial could get him sacked. Even Odion Ighalo could get him sacked if he doesn't hit the ground running straight away. So he is under so much pressure at Manchester United, he's Solskjaer and that. So yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.